Should you sell your property right now that you currently own, or you should keep it as a rental property? So you've got a property and you don't know what to do with it. Maybe you are moving now, relocating for a job, and you are debating, should you sell it or you should keep it? I will discuss this with you in this video. We're going to talk about the numbers, the market trend, and what will really make sense for your specific situation. I am Wale Lawal. I'm a real estate broker here in the Houston, Texas area, and I've helped a lot of people to make smart decisions when it comes to real estate. I help clients to decide whether to sell, rent, or reinvest in their properties. That is exactly what I do for a living, and that's what I'm discussing with you today. In this video, you will get the exact clear comparison that will help you to make a smart decision. I will also be discussing the factors you need to critically consider before you even arrive at any decision. So here is a quick market snapshot as at August 2025. Home prices in Houston, Texas are about 5% year over year, and rents are about 4% year over year. Inventory is up for about 10 to 15%, which clearly means that we are in a buyer's market. Now, while inventory is actually up, which means a buyer market, the rent to price ratio is actually around 0.7%, which means it's a solid cash flow market for properties that are actually renting right now, and their owner know what they are doing, of course. So here is a factor to consider. Number one is cash flow calculation. You want to calculate how much are you actually going to be putting in your pocket if you decide to rent your property today. So let's say you're selling your property for $400,000, and after you pay off your mortgage, you net about $80,000 in your pocket. Or the scenario B, you actually decide to rent your property and you're renting it for $2,800 per month, and after all that, you are keeping $500 in a positive cash flow in your pocket. So what this means to you is that you want to now compare, if you have that $80,000 in your pocket, would you like to have the $80,000, or you want to consider the long-term benefit of owning the property and also having that $500 cash flow coming to you, a bank account every single month, that you don't have to do anything different from what you already done, that is, you already own the property. You also want to consider the equity build up and the tax benefit long-term as compared to your short-term gain of $80,000. So this is something you have to decide on your own. So let's run through this example. Let's say you have a duplex that is a 2-unit in Houston, Texas, and the property was built in 2023, which means it's relatively about 2 years. We can call it a new construction. The purchase price is $455,000 and they are appraised for $495,000. When you purchase the property, you put down $22,750, and that brings your loan amount to $432,000 to $50. Also, when you purchase the property, let's assume you purchase at a high interest rate of 6.5% fixed for 30 years, and that brings your monthly PITI, which is principal, interest, taxes, insurance, to $3,270 every single month. Now, the gross rent you are collecting from both unit A and B is $3,950 because the tenants also pay all the utilities, and now you are cash flowing $420 every single month. Also, the equity you've built up from 2023 till today is $40,000, and repairs is zero because you are pretty much have a brand new house. You also decide to self-manage the property yourself using hemlin.com, and you're paying about $27 for that. Now, let's now look at these two scenarios of either, let's say this property above I mentioned is your situation, or you have your situation very similar to this scenario, right? Let's now talk about what you can do. Should you sell this kind of property, or should you rent it or keep it for long term? That is what this video is all about. So now let's look at the first scenario. Let's say if you sell the property in today's market, you're going to profit $40,000 that equity you've built up. You're probably going to pay about $20,000 in closing costs and agent commission, which brings your net proceed to $20,000. But you're also going to be losing that $5,000 plus that $5,000 annual cash flow that you're supposed to be getting. You're going to be letting it go because once you sell your property, you can't claim anything on it anymore. You're also going to be losing the future appreciation, the tax benefit, and any other leverage that you can get by owning property. You're going to be letting that go once you sell that property. Now, on the flip side, if you decide to rent the property, you're going to continue to earn the $5,000 per month in cash flow. You will keep your $40,000 equity that will continue to grow at the rate of 4% every single year. You'll also be able to do tax write-off, and you'll be able to do depreciation. You can do cost segregation that will save you a lot of taxes on your active job. job, on your active income, because as a real estate, investor, you can use your real estate to offset some of your active income. That's one of the big advantage of investing in real estate, in case you don't know that. Now, since this your property is new, you're not going to be fixing anything on the property because it's relatively new. Now, after 5 years, you're going to have about $25,000 in cash flow. Your appreciation will have gone up. At least I would think in 5 years, that property should have gone up for another $50,000. And now you also have depreciation that you can do if you have a rockstar CPA. By the way, if you need a CPA, I can connect you to my personal CPA. That will make your life easier. So that's around $130,000 in total return on your property just in 5 years. And you still own the property. You can still do HELOC on it. You can still do any other leverage that you can do when you are a property owner. So as you can see from this experience, unless you need a lump sum of money immediately, keeping your property might be a good thing for you because you're going to keep renting it for long term and you're going to keep benefiting from what real estate investing and being a property owner has to offer. Above all, this will help you to build a long-term wealth, which is what I want to believe that you are working towards in the first place by buying that property. Now, the second factor to consider is the tax and depreciation impact. Like I've mentioned before, rental property allow you to have some rental tax deduction. Your interest you pay on it, your repairs, your expenses, paying your contractors, all these are tax deductible. And as a matter of fact, with this example I've mentioned here, you can write off around $7,000 per year on your taxes by simply keeping this property, because let's say you make $150,000 on your job, you can actually write off $7,000. That will help you reduce your taxable income. That's what a good CPA can help you to determine. Now, also your capital gains versus your rental income is something you should consider, because when you sell your property, you might have to pay some gain, especially the quick losing money of paying, commission, paying the closing costs and other fees that comes to selling property. You have to be aware of that as well, because when you sell your property, you don't keep all your money. There are some associated fees to selling your property. And the number 3 factors to consider is the long-term appreciation versus liquidity. Like I mentioned before, if you need the cash right now, absolutely go ahead and sell it. If the neighborhood doesn't make sense for you anymore, absolutely go ahead and sell it. But if you know that, hey, I really don't have any pressure, there's nothing really pushing me to sell this property, I just feel I want to sell it for no solid reason, then obviously you should keep that property and continue to benefit from the long-term appreciation. Because when you sell your property, of course, you're going to have the cash at hand, but if you rent the property, you're going to ride along with the future appreciation that comes with home ownership or property ownership. Now, Houston 10 years average projection in terms of appreciation is around 4% annually. So my recommendation would be keep it if you believe in long-term value of the property, if you believe in the neighborhood. But if you don't believe in it, absolutely sell it and move on to the next one. And that takes me to the 4th factor you need to consider, which is the likes of property management software like Hemlin can actually help you self-manage property from any part of the world. Now, if you do decide to keep the property, I would say you should budget between 3 to 5% in monthly maintenance budget if your property is old. But if your property is new, you should not worry about this, because newer property tends to give lesser problem. Now, you have to decide based on timing and based on emotional readiness. Again, if you have zero desire to be a rental property investor or be a landlord, absolutely go ahead and sell the property and move on with your life to something else. If this is you, maybe you currently own the property right now and it's costing you a lot of pain, a lot of headache, you just don't enjoy owning that property, absolutely, again, sell the property, move on to something else. And this takes me to the number 5 factor, which is you want to compare the neighborhood and your return on equity. So return on equity is that if you own the property for, let's say, more than 5 years, over time you might see that, hey, I have a lot of equity in this property, but it's just been lazy. The equity in the property is not working as hard as I would love my money to work, because like I always say, every single dollar should be working as hard as you earn that dollar as well. So you can easily do HELOC to free up the money in that house to go and buy another property or go and start a business or go do something else that you know will be an asset for you, not a liability. liability. But if you know the neighborhood is still holding its value, don't sell it. Keep that property, do e-lock. I said, go use the money from the e-lock to buy another property. But if you don't enjoy the neighborhood and you see that this neighborhood has actually gotten to their peak, then your return on equity is going to be very low. In that case, it makes sense to just sell the property and move the money to something else. So neighborhood comparison and zip code comparison is something very, very critical, and you want to make sure you understand this. You can easily compare a Class B gentrifying neighborhood to a stable suburban like your Katy or your Cypress, Texas. So for example, you can look into zip code like 77079, which has a lot of, you know, floods and selling risk. If that's your property, you want to make sure you understand the market, the market dynamics in that zip code. 77029, you know, this place has a very strong rent and appreciation. So if you own a property here, you can actually keep it for a long time because you're going to keep getting rental. Or if you're looking to sell a property, this might be a zip code that you should consider. 77429 Cypress, Texas. I actually live here. This place has a lot of rental demand and a lot of properties that continue to hold their value here in the zip code. If you can get a better return in another state, another city, another neighborhood, or another zip code, you can definitely sell the property to go buy another one in that place. Or if you know you still want to keep that existing one, you can actually keep it, do e-lock to free up some cash from the house to go buy in a better zip code that you believe in. So here is my final recommendation on this. While everybody's situation will be different, this might be what you need to do. Now, you should sell your property if you want cash immediately, or you want to move to a better investment, or you don't want to be a landlord and you just don't like the idea of real estate investing, or if inventory is actually low in your neighborhood and you see a cool opportunity to make a cool cash, you can actually sell your property, move that cash to go buy in another neighborhood, provided you sell your asset to go buy another cash flowing asset. Don't sell your property to go buy a liability like, you know, your wristwatch, your fancy cars, or go on expensive vacation. Now, on the flip side, you should rent your property out if you like the idea of a cash flow, you like the idea of mailbox money, you enjoyed all the benefits that real estate investing has to offer, you like the tax benefits, you love talking to tenants, and you love the idea of property ownership, and above all, you see the long-term benefits of actually how to build wealth with real estate. Now, maybe all the situation I explained doesn't just fit into your situation. You can actually do the hybrid method, which means you can sell one of your property, use the equity you make from there, or the income, this proceed you make from there, to go buy another property in another neighborhood, and this will support your retiring early journey. So if you are finding value in this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell so I can let you know the next time I have a new video. Now, if you're ready to take action and you are tired of this information overload, and you really want to do something, or you just need my help, my guidance, my one-on-one support to make this happen for you, I invite you to schedule a Zoom consultation. You will see the link to my calendar in the description below. Above all, I'll be able to evaluate your specific situation, and both me and you will come to the conclusion if to keep your property makes sense, or if selling it is just the best way for you. Now, thank you for watching till the end. Before you go, I want you to watch this next video here, where I walk you through how to turn your home equity into a monthly cash flow. Thank you so much. I will see you in the video. Bye bye.